Oh, it's 2022 and it still hasn't been easy to talk about mental health the way I thought it would be. Honestly speaking, there are a lot of factors that come into having these discussions, talking openly about the realities of my situation. And I think a lot of people don't understand the complexities of mental health and that not everybody who suffers from it suffers in the same way, but you can pull similarities from somebody else's story. And I found myself wanting to do this next mental health log because of another creator's personal struggle that they're going through right now that reminded me of the same situation I was in because I was around their age. I was in a very toxic relationship with somebody who was very manipulative and controlling and felt like I had nowhere else to go. And with talking to my current partner, I broke down to him yesterday about how hard it is to be in relationships when you're a creative type, when you have mental health issues on top of your creativity, and feeling like you're a burden to your partner, and then dealing with somebody who was abusive that made you feel like your illness was their burden and that they could use it to not only hurt you but make you feel like you couldn't do any better, that they were doing a favor dating somebody as damaged as you, and really making you feel like more of a prisoner. And struggling with mental health issues is tough enough. Being a prisoner of your own dark thoughts, anxiety over things that most people find normal, dealing with voices for those of us with schizophrenic issues, dealing with the manic moods for those of us with bipolar issues, having a combination of both for those of us like me who have schizoaffective disorder. It is hard. And then being raised in the black community, which a lot of the black community, not all, but a lot are faith leaning people. So having any admittance to having mental health issues was a no no. And the thought that you could pray it away, the closed mindedness still in regards to mental health within our community should be addressed. But there are just so many other issues on top of it that mental health often gets buried. And struggling past the feelings of shame for my own health issues was hard enough. But then having a former partner who pretty much manipulated the situation, who literally looked me in the eye after having me committed the second time and let me know he could do that to me whenever he wanted because we lived in a state where you could bake rack your partner, gave me severe trust issues. It put a thorn in my heart that I still don't think was fully retracted, even though I really feel like I am in one of the best current relationships I've ever been in my entire life. He feels the brunt and effects of being with somebody who is not only emotionally controlling but manipulative. A person who made himself out to be the victim as he literally hurt me and then used my hurting as a weapon against me. And I think there is so many people who can relate to this. So many people who partner with somebody who makes them seem like they're your heroes. And that is a red flag that I need a lot of people who go through this to understand. It's nice to have a partner that wants to be there for you, that says they understand what you're going through, even though they really can't because they're not in your head. But there are a certain subset of people who want to be your hero, who want to be that knight or whatever heroic role they want to play in your life because they think, oh, this person's broken. They need me. They'll depend on me, and I can use that to my advantage. And then they take advantage of that and they compile everything you do to yourself, especially when you're having a low. And it's like they're building up ammo so that if you ever think to leave them or get away from them, you can't. And it is a horrible place to be in. It really, truly is. And I was watching this story unplay because I took a break from online for a bit outside my gaming and the Bonnet Chronicles. I just needed to get away from the Twitter toxicity, the constant fighting, which has not changed. It probably won't change. I just didn't want to be in the middle of it. So I started finding out about a lot of YouTube drama involving two creators that not only did I respect, but I was really rooting for because, like every entertainment field, diversity is not Twitter's strongest point. It just isn't. They could say, oh, we have a lot of creators on here. We don't restrict any creators, but to make it big on YouTube is still kind of looking monochromatic. And when I see two really passionate, talented people that are black, make a name for themselves, yeah, I'm going to root a little bit harder for them because I know that there's still not a lot of them representing on Twitter. Or, no, YouTube. Gosh, Twitter's on my brain right now. So when I found out that just a few weeks ago, this couple was going through some really rough things, and then hearing both sides from an outsider's perspective, and I'm making this clear. I am completely coming at this from an outsider's perspective, but as somebody who has mental health issues, somebody who is a creative type as a writer, somebody whose former partner gives me the same vibes as the dude that I'm going to talk about, it's hard because, like I said, I was rooting for both of these people, and I feel like a lot of stuff is going to get muddled because the content they were created made them a lot of enemies because it was a lot of tea and gossip and calling out other content creators. But at the end of the day, these are two human beings. And I feel like their situation being so public is going to be hard as it is. But I feel like his response just reminded me so much of my ex. And it's bad because my ex wasn't a black man. I want to put that forward right then and there because this person who I'm talking about is very argumentative and very probably going to be the type that would go, well, how can you even say that's the same thing? Your ex wasn't even black. It doesn't matter. The similarities of manipulation, the similarities of tallying things you've done for your partner, the similarities of supposedly being there, and how being away from your partner's mental health is a breath of fresh air now, how everything was their fault, their name coming out of your mouth so much, but never admitting to your own issues, and then falling back on your blackness, which pisses me off so much because when you put your hands on your partner, whether it's supposedly in self-defense or whatnot, and your only justification is you don't know how many times I had to deal with their issues, and it's like, I get it. Being with somebody that has mental health issues, especially, isn't easy. One of the things that I had to work through in both therapy and within myself was dealing with me isn't easy. I credit my current partner all the time because I can be surly, I can be antsy, I can be very manic at times, and they have the patience of the saint dealing with me at times. But it is what they want, and I've made sure that we talk. Communication is so key with any relationship, but especially with somebody who deals with paranoid thoughts, who deals with schizoid thoughts. It is good to have somebody that is willing to talk to you and understand that sometimes you're just not right and together, and that they have to be willing to deal with that. And some people aren't, and some people say they are because they think they can get something good out of their situation. And like I said, I know this young man would probably, if he knew I was directly talking about him, want to argue the point. I've watched footage of this person literally arguing the point, literally blaming everybody but themselves, not taking any accountability for their actions, being petty and vindictive, and it just, the floodgates of my past just opened up watching this. And I feel sorry for their partner because this person is using so many things as a defense mechanism, so many things as a protective cudgel for their ego, because they refuse to see how their actions were damaging. It's always their partner's fault. Their partner has been so down and depressed and struggling with their mental health that it was on me to carry the burdens, and you don't know what that did to me. And it's just like, I get it. I get that dealing with somebody with these kind of issues is hard on you, but you the one that signed up when you started dating them. And getting the whole story out there, it's not my story to tell, so I don't want to reveal too much. But outing somebody to their already ultra conservative family is a no no. No matter how much you say it's because you love them, you cannot twist destroying your partner's life so that they can only depend on you. And there are a lot of men and women that do that kind of manipulative shit so that their partner only relies upon them and has nobody else to turn to. And it hurt seeing that played out. And I wanted, even after seeing pictures of what happened, even after reading her thread on what happened or their thread on what happened, because I don't want to misgender them. The fact of the matter is, when I read his response to the whole thing, it was classic, reminded me of my ex. Classic of, it's not my fault, it's hers. I had to put up with her crap. I bought stuff. This is what I brought to the relationship. I'm keeping tally because y'all don't know my struggle. And how dare she call the cops on a black man? That line stuck with me so hard in this situation, because your blackness is not a blanket valid reason to not get in trouble when you decide to put your hands on somebody. I'm the mother of a black man. I'm a black woman myself. I don't have no love lost for law enforcement right now, especially growing up in America. I know there's a fine line between cops who just want to do their job and pieces of crap that will choke you out on the street. I know that it is not an easy path, but being black does not give you the right to overstep boundaries, put your hands on your partner, and then get upset when said partner, to protect themselves, involves law enforcement. I am not okay with that line of reasoning at all. And it comes on top of so many asinine defenses that shield you from facing the fact that you were not a decent partner. And I think the kind of calling out can't come from some of these other T channels who are mostly white kids that don't understand the real. This has to come from somebody black who suffers with mental health, who dealt with a manipulative partner. And I hate that I'm getting so emotional about it, but I cannot stand the fact that this person is trying to have the high road in this, while their partner is literally picking up the pieces of their shattered life now. And no matter what you say, even though it's all circumstantial evidence, because of what I personally dealt with, I truly believe your partner suffered with you. And I truly believe that you were going to still trying to make yourself out to be the victim. That somehow living and being with somebody who struggled with mental health, who struggled with their sexuality and identity, was a burden to you. So therefore, you're the victim, even though you've done harmful things to them. You don't like the fact that in the relationship, their income may have funded everything, and that honestly, at 80-20 split really isn't fair. But oh, you kept the tally of everything you bought. You also stole that gift from her. That shit just, it boggles my mind how your defense of everything you did, all the petty ass shit that you did, is somehow you're justified because you bought those things. I remember how my ex was with that too. Everything was tallied. Everything he brought into relationship, but he could not stand the fact that for the longest time in our relationship, I was the primary breadwinner. I was the one making the most money. I never made it where it was a big deal that the rent was being paid from my job, that things were being held together from my work, but it did take its toll on me both mentally and physically. And it can breed depression when you feel like, oh, damn, I can't even take a break from this because if I'm not earning enough, we might be out of a house at home. And then to have a partner that's constantly volatile, constantly getting into drama, constantly getting into stuff, it can be a mental burden on somebody who's already struggling. And when I seen this story play out, and like I said, it's completely an outsider's perspective, but I've seen enough parallels from my own life to really get a feel of what this creator, who was the victim of the other creator, is going through. And that's why I wanted to have this mental health vlog, to talk to people who have mental health, because seeing stuff like this makes you feel like maybe I shouldn't get into a relationship. I don't love myself that much, so I don't see how anybody can love me. And it's a hard road. I'm not going to rose colored glass this, because there are days where I still struggle. I am in a great relationship right now, but I still struggle with all the baggage of previous bad, that it can be hard. You have to work on your path. And if you're not ready to do it, there's nobody that can make that happen. There's no magical relationship that can make it better for you. You have to be the one to work on yourself, because when you can go on without somebody, being with somebody is just an added bonus. But when you become codependent on a relationship and that person is manipulative, it can be the worst thing in the world. One of the worst things I had said to me was, you can't go on without me. You can't go on your own. You can't even live on your own. And I knew that was bullcrap, but having somebody that you love and trust say that to you, you start believing it. And it is the worst feeling with mental health problems, because you constantly are worried about your life falling apart. And with paranoia, especially, and with people who want to use that against you, you can start feeling like, yeah, if I don't stay with this person, I will have nothing and people will take everything from me. And it is hell on earth. And then with my situation, I was in constant fear until just recently that my mental health would be used as a weapon to take my son away. So I had to constantly be on guard and be careful what I said, what I did. And I am so glad that I'm at a point where all the fucks are gone. I can talk openly about stuff, because if anybody wanted to try to get at my son now, he is old enough to state clearly, you know, how good things are for him. Mom might be a little bit more strict on things, but I am not a bad mother and I don't fear being called that anymore. But having mental health, you have to stress and worry about those things. And having a partner that doesn't take advantage of that is so important. And I think a lot of people don't have that. And I feel your pain, because being alone with mental health is hard, but being with somebody with mental health is hard. You constantly take blame that you may not deserve. I get living with somebody with mental health issues isn't easy. But the moment you start blaming your personal antics and issues onto their health issues, I don't trust you. And you really need to take accountability for your own actions. Your partner's mental health struggles is not the catalyst for your bad behavior. And I tell people all the time, mental health is not an excuse for bad behavior. If I do something hateful and harmful, I can't fall back on how it's just because of my mental health. I am still 100% responsible for my actions, and getting help helped me see that. But not taking accountability and blaming my partner for my actions was something I used to do in my past that I had to grow out of, and a lot of people don't. And I refuse to use my ethnicity as a reason for my mental health, because that's the thing about mental health. It is an equal opportunity affliction. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your income. It doesn't matter your skin tone. Mental health is a spectrum. And one of the things I seen earlier on Twitter that made me upset was this family lamenting whether or not a child that they conceived drew sperm donations. Had they known that the sperm donor had mental health issues, would things have been different? Could they have picked another donor? And eugenics is such an awful thing. Being somebody who loved history, knowing that there is literal eugenics that says, oh, mental health can be, genetically altered out. If you sleep with certain people, there's less chance. No. We don't even really fully understand mental health for people to be able to really definitively say that. But for you to say that, to cast people out because they might have emotional and neurological issues, instead of wanting to work with them, figuring out how to help them, is so insulting and so hurtful to those of us who live with this. And I'm tired. You get so tired of feeling like your existence is a burden to people. Because when people write these articles, when people lament stuff like that, I know it's hard on them to lose a child towards their struggles. But I would have loved for those people to have more of a revelation that maybe we could have been there for our son more. Maybe the understanding that mental health is a spectrum, and some people have it more severe than others, but it's all important. Then lamenting that maybe if we known that this person had this, things could have been different. We don't know, because no one approaches this the same. No one, two sufferers of something is the same. I am a woman that lives with schizoaffective disorder. It is a combination of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. I deal with manic. I deal with schizoid, paranoid thoughts. But I also have a very different experience from people who didn't grow up black. That factors into a lot of how I carry myself. And I think people who don't understand mental health as it is make things harder. But I think a lot of other factors play into how I am now, especially, that I can't convey for everybody. It is not a blanket thing. And so many things with mental health that I would love to discuss, I feel like I step on toes. So I'm very quiet still about it. I feel like, especially with social media now, a lot of people utilize the term mental health as a blanket for whatever they want. They wear it like a fashion accessory. Oh, I decided to be bitchy today and really rag on my friends and act horrible, but it's because I have mental health issues. And that drives me nuts, because there is already such a stigma. Some person goes racist and gets put on TikTok, and now all of a sudden, no, I was just having a mental health crisis. As somebody who lives with mental health issues, I realize that not everybody with mental health issues just wants to be quiet and not have a spotlight on us, because it could be very harmful to us. But to have so many people like publicly act like idiots and assholes and predatory, and then fall back on the, oh, it's just my mental health, it is hard, y'all. It really is. And then this whole ideal of dealing with relationships and having mental health issues, and then knowing that there are people out there that can manipulate the situation, make you feel like you're at fault for daring to have these issues, and then worse yet, blame you for their bad acts. I just had to speak up about it, because I feel like the person that hears this that watches this needs to know that you are not responsible for your partner's acts. You being a bit more difficult to live with because you're in your head, or you're suffering, or you're having manic, or you're being depressive because of a low, that is your burden. One that they agreed to carry on being your partner, but it in no way validates their aggression if they act aggressive, abuse if they're abusive. You are not responsible for their acts. And it took me years and a lot of therapy to accept that. I get that being with me is not easy, but I don't force my current partner to that. We talk it out a lot, and that helps so much. And if you are in a situation where your partner is blaming your mental health for their actions, understand that that is a big red flag, almost to me as much as that I'm your hero, you can depend on me red flag that a lot of people choose to ignore, because sometimes we need that. Sometimes we just want somebody that cares about us because we don't know what that feels like. Because it feels like everybody around us hates us, and that one person constantly in your ear telling you, no, I'm there for you, I'm your champ, I got your back, I will fight anybody who dares go against you. Sometimes you really want that hero version, but the reality is they're just manipulating the situation. You have to be your own advocate. And once you are able to stand mentally on your 2 feet, whether you have somebody or not, that is when you will bring in somebody who can really be a partner to you. And I'm not saying this like it is an easy thing to do. I want to make that clear. It took me years. I am 44 years old. I did not get to this place easily. Some days I really am shocked I'm still here because of my former mentality, because of the dark thoughts that still sometimes pervade my mind. But I'm telling you, when you get to this age and you realize some of the things that you take on because you think you're supposed to, you realize you shouldn't have, because your own burdens is enough to carry. And it is not your responsibility to carry your partner's burdens, excuse their behavior as, oh, they're putting up with me, so no. And I see especially a lot of young black women and a lot of black women in general doing this. And no, hun, no, no. Mm-mm. We've got enough on our shoulders without having to be our partner's scapegoats for their actions. And I'm not saying this to just knock black men, because there are some black women that do this too. Manipulators don't have a type. They just are. And they seek us out because they think broken people are easier to be manipulated. And they will blame us for their actions and how they treat us harshly, because somehow we deserve it more, and somehow people will believe that dealing with us is so harsh that, yeah, maybe, we don't know how easy it is to deal with somebody with mental health stuff, so maybe that's why they acted out. And we all have to get away from that mentality. I say this with as much love as I can muster. If you are in this situation, it is not good. I know for some, getting out it feels impossible. Whether it's a financial issue, whether mentally speaking, you just think there's no way it's me in this situation. I'm telling you right now, people who use your mental health as a cudgel against you, as a way of saying that, yeah, this is why I do this, it's not going to get better. So for your safety, for your betterment, you have to consider the options of getting out of that situation. And for those of you who have, you did a good thing. You might not have somebody telling you that right now. You may be all in your head of, what if I could have saved this? Nah, No, because the moment your partner puts your health as the reason for them acting out, as the reason, taking no accountability for their own actions, putting the blame on you, that's all you need to know about this situation. You will be in a healthier place being away from that person. And it's like I said, this is not an easy topic for me because I've seen so many parallels to my old relationship in this story that it hurts. It hurts thinking because you want to think that people like this don't exist and that when you're already struggling, that there's really not going to be that many people that put on that mask and try to make you feel safe only to hurt you too. But that's just the world we live in, and there are a lot of people that literally think that they can slide into this role, make you feel like you're the one at fault and that they need you. And I can't stand that. And that's why I wanted to have this talk today, because there are a lot of people currently struggling with partners who are like that, and it's not okay. And like I tell everybody, there are places that you can reach out. There are organizations for people with mental health issues, and getting help during this pandemic is hard. There are a lot more telecommute therapies out there. There are a lot of online therapies. Please utilize that, because you sometimes really need a professional to reinforce that, yeah, you might be going through some things, but those are your burdens. That is not an excuse for somebody to say that their bad antics is your fault. And I really hope that by hearing that, anybody who is currently in a relationship struggling with mental health issues understands this and gets the help they need. But I'm about to wrap this up because I feel like I'm starting to ramble now, and I don't want to do that. I just want to be clear that being in a relationship, being in a steady, healthy relationship can happen with mental health issues, but you have to have a partner that's not only willing to talk to you about things, but honestly separates their actions and antics and things they're going through from what you're going through. Because the moment your partner starts blaming your actions and your mental health stuff for their bad acts, nothing good comes of that. But I'm going to wrap this up. I will be back next week with a new one of these. I just hate that so much content can come out of this. But that is the reality. We need more people who can talk about this, who are going through this. And it's not easy for those who aren't lucid yet. So I'm hoping that by speaking up about the realities of this, because I'm lucky enough to be lucid right now, that more people who are going through this can get help, and then more of us can talk about this. Because honestly speaking, the problem with mental health is that not a lot of us who are really going through this get to talk, get to utilize our voices for this. We're often drowned out by people who fake their way through this, and it can be painful, and it only adds to the stigma against us. So I really feel like trying to be a voice for this can help those who are in the same situation out. And that's the reason why I'm doing this, y'all. You know, win, lose, or draw, I feel like talking about this helps people. And that is the only goal of doing these vlogs. And like I said, I will be back next week with a new one of these. And every Friday, I do the Bonnet Chronicles, where I talk about other issues. So if you want to tune into those, feel free. But I am going to wrap this up, and I will see you later.